Hail friends, welcome back to the channel. It's me again, and I'm playing Project Gorgon today, and I thought I would do a video, not necessarily, well, I guess it's about Project Gorgon, but occasionally I get asked sort of, you know, if you could only afford to play one MMO, or you only had the time to play one MMO out of the ones that you play, what would you play? Or, you know, people ask, I had a couple of questions recently about, you know, what's the best MMOs that you've played or you play and that kind of thing. So I thought I'd kind of do a video talking about the MMOs that I play. Now, some of them are very infrequent, to a point where these are the ones I've got installed. You know, there's one of them I've had installed for. I've always had it installed, but I haven't played it for. I haven't logged in for about a year or two. So yeah, so I thought I would start off with the ones I've got installed, and we'll go from there. This is Project Gorgon. The TLDR version of this, if you don't want to watch the video, this is the one I'm going to recommend. So, you know, that's spoilers. This is the one I'm going to recommend. And I just thought I would get a few different scenes for you, because I know that visuals can be quite important for people. Yeah, but so I thought I would just get some shots. This is looking over to this is Serbul or Serbule, however you want to pronounce that. This is the, let's get the, this is obviously, you know, no UI. I just thought I'd show you some of the scenery. Giant mushrooms, which is always a good thing. You can never have too many giant mushrooms, I feel. Giant hands. nice landscapes. Fairly nice textures as well in some areas. But this is, I thought I'd just give you some idea of the look of the outsides of the game. This is one of a number of zones, I guess we will call them. And as you can see, I'm here. There's the town or city over there. So that should give you some sort of idea of how big the areas are. They're big, you know, they're very big. I guess running from this end to the other side, you do get speed buffs and stuff actually. So I guess it's not really a fair representation. I mean, these are big areas, you know, as you can see, big explorable areas, and there are a number of them. And I'm going to go into a dungeon and yeah, and show you some gameplay. Let's go and do that, and then I'll kind of talk a bit. I'll probably talk about Project Gorgon at the end. So, I guess the first one to I guess deal with, and I guess it's the one that I play the most, the one you'll be most familiar with if you watch the channel. That is Everquest Project 1999, and I still think that even though I'm going to recommend Project Gorgon, I still think that for a certain type, that's not where I want to be. That is not where I want to be at all. There are some optimization issues. You might notice when I use the mouse to look around, sometimes you get like a little jerk. Where am I? I was kind of near. Okay. I was looking for the entrance. I was going to go into a dungeon essentially, and I was near the entrance. I think I may have come to the wrong dungeon entrance. As you can see, like sometimes when I'm flipping around, I think it might be over here. Sometimes when I'm flipping around, there are some jerks, and so you know the game is still in. I think it's still in beta or whatever. It hasn't had a proper release yet. Yeah, so you get, the game needs optimizing essentially. Where is my dungeon? What? That must be it down. Did I just come from there? Oh wow, okay. So I'm completely lost. Oh, it's over here because I'm using the hand and this meditation pillar as a landmark. So we're almost there. I do apologise for that. That was a bit of a muck up. But then, you know, these are not professional videos yet, so you get what you pay for, I suppose. So yeah, Everquest Project 1999 is the one we'll start off with, and I think that that's the one you see on the channel the most. It's the one I play the most, and I think it's a game that will obviously appeal to a certain type of player. It's it's almost like a super hard version of WoW Classic, essentially. Which not surprising, you know. It stole a lot of ideas. A lot of the developers and designers of WoW, of the original WoW, came from EverQuest, I believe. There are one or two of them. One or two lead designers worked on EverQuest. So yeah, it's that's unsurprising. EverQuest, classic EverQuest, is quite an FPS feely kind of game from a combat point of view. I find it very reminiscent of an FPS with regards to reactions, and I hope it's not too loud. Yeah, with regards to the movement, you know, how the game feels, like the speed of the movement, certainly in comparison to like many other MMOs, I would say. And obviously it's very difficult, you know, it's very unforgiving. I guess it would be, yeah, I mean, I guess it's very old school in that regard. You know, WoW Classic was designed, or, you know, WoW Vanilla, when it came out, was designed to mimic, I think, gameplay to a certain extent, but to remove some of the, just to add more quality of life to the game, so it was less harsh. And that is a game that I really enjoy. You know, if you prefer a simpler character progression process, in the sense that you gain a level when you get enough experience. There are skills, but the skills kind of go up as you use them, and it gets to a point where, you know, you don't really think about your skills going up, because they always go up at a certain point, because you know, you should be using them enough. So yeah, so a simple character progression. Character progression for the game is a lot based around equipment, essentially. You know, it's very much a loot-based game. It might not seem so much early on. I mean, I'm currently playing the new Greens Till server. Hello, what's going on here? There we go. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I'm currently playing the new Green Till server, as I said, and yeah, and itemization is quite different there. There are magical items in the game, but because you're pretty weak, you know, I would say that unless you know the game and you know where to go to get items, you'll probably find yourself with, from a loot point of view, quite low early on, particularly if it's your first experience. But I think that there are some things it does that are unparalleled, really, and I think it's the if you're looking for, well, I've just remembered the term I was trying to think of. If you're after a more, what I personally think, a more Twitch-based combat system, then I think EverQuest Classic certainly fits that. Yeah, fits that style of gameplay. And yeah, and I think also from a point of view of strategy, like combat strategy, depending on what class you play, you know, but I think if you're in a group, or if you're playing certain classes, I think combat strategy, the way that you go about dungeon crawling, for example, you could never do what I'm doing here in EverQuest. Okay, you could never run around hoovering up mobs, and then AoEing them down. Not in this aspect. So yeah, P99, as well as the other things I've mentioned, will also give you more of more of a strategic style gameplay. Again, these are all my opinions. Maybe you guys don't think that, but it's interesting when you watch people. I watched a couple of streams recently for Pantheon, and a lot of people in the chat were going, "Oh, this is just too slow. You know, the combat's too slow." And that's just purely down to what you're used to. You know, we're more used to this style of combat now, where you're running around. Combat's very quick, mobs die very easily. On P99 in EverQuest, you know, Classic, that's not the case. So yeah, I think for more of a Twitch-based gameplay, with more strategic combat, it's also got some fantastic dungeons for dungeon crawling. Yeah, that's why I still play it. You know, because I think it's a game that offers stuff that, you know, for certain people like myself who weren't as, you know, enamoured of the dumbing down as some that, you know, that made WoW Classic popular. EverQuest, I think, on the Project 1999 server is your game. If you're looking for the things that let's put some shields on. You're looking for the things that I've mentioned. You know, I think that will be the game for you. And I guess even though looking at games that are coming out now that are kind of calling themselves old school MMOs, they're not really. I don't think. You know, I think a lot of them are still. Certainly, I wouldn't call them old school with regards to like an Everquest comparison. You know, I think that they're still, they don't feel quite as Twitch based, even this game, although combat probably, when you're looking at it, it probably seems as though it's going quite quickly. I don't think it's still as Twitch based as Everquest is. Everquest Classic, that is. Obviously, I'm not quite sure what live is like anymore. I haven't played for many years. Yeah, so even the new games that call themselves old school still to a certain extent feel like they're not quite as harsh. There are still elements of just quality of life improvements that make the games a bit more tolerable for, I guess, for a bigger audience, which is which is fair enough. But I think the next one, like the other games I'll cover, will probably be quicker. Like I've got Worm Online, and to me that certainly feels like it will be. It feels. I haven't played much of it, so it's difficult to give an opinion. But it certainly feels. It's certainly the most sandboxy game that I've played. I mean, literally. Well, the idea is literally you're thrown into a world and there's nothing, and you create everything. The problem I've got with the game at the moment is that everything's been created in a sense. You know, the game's quite old. All the servers are fairly old. So what's happened is that you enter a world and it's very built up. You know, it feels like I know some people say that there are still areas where it's quiet, but I mean, I'm playing on the biggest map, and I looked at there's like an interactive map that shows you where things are built. And looking at the interactive map, I think Xanadu is the map that is the biggest one that I was looking at. And looking at the map, it did make my heart sink a bit, really, because I feel that the people that are saying there's still wilderness out there, yeah, maybe that's just a defence of the game. I'm not sure, but I was looking at it and thinking to myself, well, I don't think there's actually anywhere I could go, you know, that will give me the experience I'm looking for. You do have Worm Unlimited, which is like a Steam version where you can create your own server and you can be the only one on it, basically. But I do think that then you kind of lose the. Are they dead? Yeah, you then lose the emergent gameplay, you know, and the thrill of maybe seeing another player. But you know, that's not a criticism of the game. Well, actually, I say it's not a criticism of the game. Maybe they could do more. You know, maybe they could do more to deal with that. You know, maybe they could have a server, as long as these things are made clear beforehand. Maybe they could have a server where people's stuff within the game, if they don't, you know, upkeep their houses or equipment, maybe they could have a server where there's an accelerated decay rate, you know, so things decay quickly, more quickly, so that if someone's not playing, you know, then land may free itself up, you know, more regularly, or it may just so it's just more available, or it feels more like you're surviving in a harsh landscape. I think that was the thing that I found. It didn't really feel like I'm going to die here, I think, unless I. No, we did okay there. Let's just take some stuff. Yeah, but what I mean, as I said, maybe there are things that they could do to make the game a bit more accessible if you're looking for an experience where you come into the world and you feel like it's not a new world. I understand that that's not going to be the case, but yeah. As I said, it just felt too lived in. You know, I felt like I'd come too late, essentially, to Worm. They are releasing a new server. I think they're going to do a Steam launch for Worm Online, and so there'll be a new server. So I'll probably start there, because I think when they do a new server, it's only you can only create new characters on it, I think. So you can't take an established character across. You have to kind of start from scratch. So that's what I'll be doing on Worm Online. at some point in the future when the Steam server is released. But at the moment, it's something that I just dig into now and again, just for a certain type of when I feel like experiencing a certain type of what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, because I think because I think all these games like Everquest that I've just spoken about, or Project Gorgon, or Worm Online, or whatever it may be, the games all do all have their own different types of immersion, how you feel when you play the game. I think Worm is quite unique in that regard. Whereas, I mean, I love Everquest and I prefer it to World of Warcraft from a world immersion point of view. But there are certainly similarities there. Whereas Worm feels quite unique in that regard. Yeah, but Worm definitely looks like one of the most interesting MMOs I've ever come across. But at the moment, it didn't give me the experience that I was looking for. So that's something that I'll be investigating again in the future. Next one, Legends of Aria. Again, I haven't played it much. I don't have much to say. Problem I have with Legends of Aria essentially is that while I liked the ideas, it really did just feel like a stripped down Ultima Online, which I guess maybe is fine. You know, I mean, it's definitely got a lot going for it. But I just think from a content point of view, yeah, I think it was just lacking in certain areas, and that's why I haven't played too much of it. But again, it's a game that I'll keep an eye on from a development point of view and see what's what in the future. Lord of the Rings Online, there's not really much I can say. That's the game that I've always had installed, but I just don't give any time to it. I can't even tell you why, really. I mean, like, I'm a ridiculously massive Tolkien fan. Tolkien, I know people have certain things that when they were teenagers going through troubled periods, people talk about bands and things that, you know, got them through it, books and that kind of thing. And Tolkien was kind of like my refuge when I was a teenager going through tricky times. Yeah, but for some reason, Lord of the Rings Online just hasn't... I did play it a fair amount, but I'm such a fan of Tolkien that it should be the only one that I play all the time, you know. But for some reason, it just didn't grab me. I think when you're so fond of something, you're so attached to something, I think you have your own view of and your own idea of how it should look and how it should feel, and maybe, you know, the people's vision who did Lord of the Rings Online didn't match my vision. Maybe that's why I just didn't play it as much. Why I'm not playing it as much as I probably should be. Yeah. So that's Lord of the Rings Online. I can't really say much about it. You know, I guess if you play it and it feels like your Tolkien, your Middle Earth, then you'll love it, I guess. When I played it, it didn't feel enough like my vision of Middle Earth. So I guess that's why. Yeah, I guess that's why it didn't really resonate or kind of grip me as I thought it might do. World of Warcraft Classic, I've got installed still, and I do keep thinking about going back to it, but I've just got too many other things going on at the moment with regards to MMOs. Yeah, I don't know what to say really. It's like I think everyone who's played an MMO must have played it. You know, it's that sort of game, I think, isn't it? Where it had such a massive fan base, so many subscribers. I imagine that anyone interested in MMOs has played it at some point. I mean, I love it. You know, it's got a similar feel to Everquest Classic, as I said, P99, with some quality of life improvements. Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I think the gameplay is great. There are certain classes that I enjoy playing, like the Hunter and the Warlock and stuff, that kind of give me that tactical combat feel of P99. You know, nothing will. I think from a variety and tactical point of view, you know, there aren't any classes in World of Warcraft that match, like you know, like the Enchanter or the Necromancer or whatever from P99. But I do feel that, you know, it's a marvellous game. I don't really need to say anything about it because I'm sure that, you know, I'm sure that most of you guys must have at least tried it out, even if you didn't like it. Not much to say about that, I don't think. I've still got the City of Heroes emulated server installed. I remember I've said it quite a lot in previous. I've said it in previous videos before. I know I have. I don't like those bears aggressive attacks. They do a lot of damage. Yeah, I've said it before, and it's funny because when the server wasn't available, the emulated server, I was always saying it's a game that I wish I'd played more. And then when it became available, I didn't really play it that much, you know. So maybe I didn't really want to play it as much as I thought I did. I kind of do. I do love the comic theme, but again, it's. I think that one of the problems I have is that I kind of like a lot of different MMOs, but you can't. But MMOs are so time consuming. You've got to make a choice, haven't you, really, at the end of the day, as to what you're going to concentrate your time on. So something is going to miss out. And yeah, I do. Well, there's a lot of mobs here. Holy smokes! And I do feel quite similar. As you know, I've got a terrible thing with all alts in games as well. Oh, we want to do that. Let's do that. Yeah. So as you know, my MMOs are a bit like my characters in that I flip about between them, and you know, rather than giving time to one and getting to high levels in that, I spread my time around. Yeah, and end up not getting probably to where I should do in any one of them. But there you go. That's life. Yeah. So City of Heroes, there is an emulated server for it. It's great. It really feels quite authentic. But I just couldn't. Yeah, I just didn't have the time, or I don't have the time at the moment to invest in it. And that brings us to Project Gorgon, which is probably this has got some of the most interesting ideas in MMO that I think I've ever come across. Not just of recent times, like in all times. It's there's so many interesting ideas. So, some of them are, I think, probably didn't. Most people, other developers haven't used them because they're quite. What can I say? They're quite, I guess, confrontational as ideas go. So, like as a necromancer, for example, I'm not sure if it's still the same, but as a necromancer, you use there's a boss up here that I could probably kill, but what I'm doing at the moment is just really the big slime. What I'm doing at the moment is really just leveling ice magic at the moment. And I think I just got another level, didn't I? So I'm level currently level 42. Nice. Yes. So if as a necromancer, if you've got skeleton pets, but if you want to raise those pets, you needed to be near a graveyard or tombstones to raise them, which I thought was a nice idea. I'm currently, this character has got lycanthropy. I know I've probably mentioned this before, so lycanthropy. And it's interesting because you catch lycanthropy. I think you can cure it, but you catch it, and then you can turn into a wolf whenever you want and play as a wolf. But tied in, it's coming up quite soon actually. I think maybe whenever the next full moon is. I think it's over the next few days. When there's a full moon cycle in real life, your character is permanently a wolf. You can't change out a wolf form for that period, which is a brilliant idea. And this game is full of those kind of ideas. So if you're someone who likes interesting mechanics and ideas in a game, even if they may not all, you may not like all of them, or they're not particularly, player friendly, they are there if you want them. So, like for instance, if you're a druid is a skill that you have to actively go out and quest for and do things for to become a druid. But at any point during the day, you may get a druidic emergency, it's called. And while the druidic emergency is going on, you can't gain any experience in any of your skills, which kind of means that as a druid, they're trying to make you responsible for going out and dealing with the emergency before you then can go about your daily business again. So those kind of things might annoy people, but you know, it does warn you before you become a druid quite a lot. So you know, you don't just become a druid and you think, oh god, you know, it's like a lifestyle that you need to commit to, but they do make you aware of what you're getting into before you decide to become a druid. Before I do that, I should just also, one that I skipped, not purposely, and that's Shroud of the Avatar. And I've stopped playing that. I did have a subscription. I've stopped my subscription, and that's a game that I can't recommend. Unfortunately, I kind of want to because of the people that were kind of involved, but I think. To me anyway, personally, it's become clear that the people involved are not really up to the creativity that maybe they were up to in the past, unfortunately. I also feel that the way the company's been run on the financial side, with regards to investment, seed investment, you know, the shop, you know, the whole game feels designed around a shop for you to keep spending your cash. I find the development process, to me, has been quite dishonest, and it's not a game that I can recommend you play, unfortunately. As much as I'd like to, and I like some things about the game, the actual gameplay itself, but the whole development process, the way the cash shop's been implemented, the way that there was, I know RMT has been banned, I think, from the forums anyway. Yeah, and I just think the way that developers have acted through development with regards to finances, the Corso was steering the game down, you know, yeah, I just can't recommend it. It doesn't feel like an honest game. So Shroud of the Avatar, as some as you know, I've played it before, I've done videos for it, but I can't recommend that basically at all. Yeah, so I was saying Project Gorgon, I've got lots of good ideas. Loads of skills. I mean, loads of skills, and lots of things that you've got. Art history. There are so many different mechanics, and I mean, the game is really grindy. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. But if you like grindy games, then you will love this. But there are so many different things. There's a butchering skill, cartography, lots of trade skills. You can turn into animals like cows. Cows are, I think cows are like some of the best tanks in the game. You can be a giant bat. Giant bat, I think you have to get kind of bitten by another person who's a giant bat to become a giant bat. Or I think there are certain mobs that will turn you into a bat. So languages you can learn, Goblinese, geology, I've done a bit of myself, gardening. Lots of different combat skills. Yeah. Mining. There are so many different systems in the game, so many different skills. Safe cracking is one that I've got 10 levels in it. I don't know why. I don't know where that's come from. Retail management, you can have a shop as well. No housing yet, and no mounts either. But those, I think mounts are coming at some point. Yeah, so many different skills, so many interesting systems. You've seen the gameplay. The gameplay is quite. The gameplay is, I mean, you can see, like, I'm area affecting things down at the moment, but you know, there are skills that are single target based, high DPS. I mean, I use, fire probably would have been a better option, but I haven't really leveled fire. But I'm currently my battle chemistry is level 74. That's my highest skill, and I kind of use my area effect skills to level other skills, basically. There is a limit, actually. So if I was starting off wanting to level, let's have a look. Psychology, priest, yeah, they're all quite high. What's one that I haven't gained much in? Yeah, so you can power level your other skills, basically. I haven't done any archery at all, so if I wanted to level archery, I could use my AoE skills to level archery. But what you'll find is that if I haven't got archery, if I put cow on, for example, you get a little thing here that says I can't use my highest level battle chemistry skills to there has to be like there's a limit between the skills. So Cal's level 0. If I want to power level that, I kind of can, but I've got to use my low level battle chemistry skill, so it's not ridiculously overpowered. But you can still, power level your other skills if you want to a certain extent. The other thing as well is that you can use two of your different skills. So there are certain skills that are combat skills, certain skills that they class as support skills. You can have, I'm currently ice magic, battle chemistry, because I'm currently raising ice magic essentially. Yeah, and you can combine different skills from the different trees. You could be an archer battle chemist, an archer ice mage. There's some limitations with the animal forms. But yeah, but skills very mix and match. You can use two different combat skills at a time, or support skills, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, but as you can see, the gameplay is very much quick, focused on, DPSing down mobs as quickly as you can. Lots of dungeons to explore. The game is very explorable. If you enjoy exploring games, the game is very explorable. It's also, what I quite like about it, that I think that some of maybe like something like Shroud of the Avatar, for example, I think has missed a trick on up until now, is that everything's very repeatable. So I know that I'm not covering as much as I should here. This video is kind of like, what MMOs do I prefer? But I understand it's a bit of a love-in for Project Gorgon, but I just find it such an interesting project, So yeah, but the way magic items work, if I can find my character, yeah, the way magic items work is a bit like Diablo, so that you got your base skills. So I've got Toxic Bomb, but then like Diablo, your equipment will have bonuses for your skill. So this chest piece that I've got has got Toxic Bomb damage plus 20%, and that's how you increase your character. Basically, that's how you progress character wise. You get different levels of equipment. Mine's quite low at the moment. It's one of the issues I've been having, is I kind of reached that point where I need to find some better equipment to increase my damage, so then I can then move on to do harder content. But yeah, the equipment's level based as well, so the higher the level, the higher the bonuses for your skills. There's also a skill transmutation. So each piece of equipment will have certain bonuses that it will give to your skills, and you can use transmutation to change the skill. So my skirt here has got all bomb damage, blah blah blah. What I could do is use transmutation to change that skill to another skill, another leg skill that I might prefer. So you can mix and match your skills. When you get when you get a piece of equipment with skills on, you're not locked into those skills. You can change them as well. I think it's a random roll, but there is an option. So that's how you partly increase the power of your character. And I think what's quite good about it is that the dungeons are really interesting to explore. The dungeons have got lots of bosses in, and I know people who just go around dungeons killing bosses, because the way the loot works is that generally it's always worth it, unless you've somehow reached max level. I'm going to eat some food here, food and a snack, which increases my in combat and out of combat regeneration from my health, armor and power, which is like mana essentially. Yeah, there's always a reason to do dungeons, go around killing bosses, because you might get that ideal drop that you want, or you might get a drop that's close enough to ideal. Yeah, and then you oops, oh Jesus, I hate those stun attacks. Yeah, and then you can maybe change some of the skills on there just to make it a bit more, just to get it more where you want it from a bonus point of view. Yeah, so skill progression, like loot progression, there's loads of that. I find the dungeons and whatnot really interesting to explore and play in. Yeah, it's a game that there's a very complex, they call it favor system. It's like a faction system where you need to raise faction with people. It's quite interesting. So, for example, oh, lots of money bags here. Creatures are also can also be quite good for getting components for stuff. So I can skin. I've inventories full, so I can skin or butcher corpse or extract skull basically from these particular mobs, and I can use those skins. I should have emptied my purses. And then I can use those skins to make items with. But most of these items are used in some form of trade skill. So there's loads of trade skills. There's a faction system. I'm not sure if you can see the faction system in game. Books and lore. Nope, I don't think so. Social. Actually, let me just let me do more info. Yeah, giftings. There's a faction system where you can raise faction with people by giving them gifts or by doing quests for them. And what that means is essentially, like if you're like I'm an ice mage, so the ice mage trainer teaches different levels of ice magic, and you need to raise your favour with them before you can unlock higher levels. So that's always quite interesting. You know, you can't just go to your ice trainer and unlock the next level. You know, you also need to have a higher faction or favour with them before they can. It's like friendships basically. I'm friends with this person, comfortable, neutral. Me and Flea are soulmates. It also affects how much money. So a lot of them are vendors, and it also affects how much money they've got. So the higher your reputation with them, the more money they've got to buy your equipment with, which is very useful. You'll find as you go along in the game. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that I haven't mentioned in the game. You know, but it is just I mean, I think if you're looking for an MMO that will, assuming you don't mind grinding, everything turns into a big grind. Okay, so just be warned. But if you're looking for an MMO that will keep you going for years, and it's fairly cheap to play, and you're interested in a lot of the systems that I've mentioned, then I just think that it is such an interesting game. So I can root those in place and blow them up. Hopefully, don't get stunned and die first. I should keep getting perma-stunned. Oh, literally perma-stunned. There we go. Okay. I think I need to probably leave because I'm overstocked. What magic item is that? Okay, I'm going to leave. These are different trade skills for recipes. What I quite like for fire magic, for example, you need certain ingredients, and you need to be near a fire, which I quite like. You need to use like a fire to research your skills and stuff, which is quite interesting. Level working, I've been working on to try to eventually make my own equipment at some point. Yeah, cooking, cook yourself some food. These are all the recipes that you can get and whatnot. So yeah, it's from a negatives. As I said, I mean, it is quite grindy, very grindy actually. So if you're not looking for a grindy game, if grinding grinds your goat, then this game may not be for you. I guess visuals. You know, some people are all about visuals. You might like the visuals of the game. It might be off-putting for you. I'm trying to think of anything else that you maybe class as a negative. Obviously it's a game that's ongoing development, you know, so I'm just going to run through this part of the dungeon. Yeah, it's ongoing in development. I think when the game goes live, they're going to reset some stuff, so be aware of that. Not your skills, but I think your faction. And faction can take a long time to raise, so beware of that. know, if you come into the game and you go hardcore on it, then you will find that you'll be working on your faction again, which can take quite some time. Just something to be aware of. I'm trying to get out of here. There's an armor health system, so when you take a hit, your armor absorbs a certain amount of damage, and obviously as your armor goes down you start taking more damage, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. That's how that works. I'm just about to head to back to town. Let's see if I can show you something interesting. This is my druid travel form, so I can turn myself into a mallard. Which is let's go up and down. Oh god. Oh, there we go. Yeah, because I turn myself into a mallard and fly over all the bad things. The mallard does he does drain your power, so when you run out of power you do crash back down to the ground. You know, it's yeah, it's again something really interesting. Nice little perk that druids get for their troubles. You can get different bird forms as well, actually, if you want to go down that route. Yeah, it's a bit more of the scenery, which I like. I like the game. As I say, some people might be put off by some of the visuals, but I do like them. I think I've got a skill that, yes, that's given me a bit more power. And we will come down and land in the town square. There we go. Don't know if you heard, yeah, someone playing. You can learn to play instruments, and as you can see here, if you're standing near someone who's playing an instrument, the longer you're there, you get like a buff. So I'm getting a little combat XP buff here, and the longer I stand here, the longer the buff will be for, which is quite nice. So lots of interesting little systems, as I said. The player base is fairly small. I always see people around, to be honest with you, but and you do get people, you know, doing dungeons and stuff. You got to bear in mind that I play off peak, so you know that is a bit of a thing. There's a cow. There's the high speed cow running off. Yeah, but it's I know that this was supposed to be a one of my favourite MMOs, and it's turned into, this is an NPC actually who seems unhappy about my current form. Yeah, this is a sentient flame. Can't understand it. Okay, maybe that's why I can talk to the flame at some point. Maybe if I increase my fire magic. I'm just here. I'm just going to enjoy getting this little performance appreciation buff. But yeah, it's I'm waffling on now, and I'm sounding like a massive fanboy. And that's because I am, because Project Gorgon is the most interesting MMO I've maybe played. Certainly since Ultima Online. There are certain things obviously that may not appeal to people. If you've got any questions, let me know. But yeah, it's amazing. It's interesting. I enjoy the gameplay, enjoy the world. The world's nice and immersive. Yeah, and that's it. That's literally all I can say. I've talked myself out. So thanks for watching.